start asking some questions, I guess is how we'll do this. Brandon Marcello does it that way, so at Auburn. So you hear me. All right, good. How's everybody doing? So fire away. Anybody got any questions? Football or, if you want to talk about my dog, I love talking about my dog. So who's going to start at QB? Well, I've said for a while that I think it's going to be Baker Mayfield, so I'm going to stick with that. But I do think Trevor Knight has a good shot. Trammell's Knight article. Trammell's Knight article, I think the one about Traven Boykin, I thought it was really good. I thought it made a lot of sense. How much will Joe Mixon play this year? I think he's going to play a lot. I think he's going to be really good. In fact, I picked him as my Big 12 breakout player this year. I think he's going to be. I think he's an excellent talent, regardless of what anybody thinks about him personally or what he did. He's a heck of a player and a heck of a talent. Sorry if I'm missing some of these. They're coming really fast, so keep asking them if I don't get to it. Mike Stoops, I think, will be in the booth. I don't think there's any doubt about it. They're sort of playing like they don't know, but the booth, it just makes sense for a million reasons. Last year, I think the Baylor game when Julian Wilson and him got into that argument, that was just bad for everybody. Neil is working at right tackle. I have not heard that myself, but that's interesting. That would if that's true, that would indicate that Farniok's not working out really. Sunderland, I don't know a whole lot. We don't get to watch practice, but I imagine he's doing really well. He's an impressive player and impressive talent. Would Cardell Jones start at Oklahoma? Of course he would. I don't think there's any question about it. Bob walking out of practice today. Well, he just stopped briefly to the media and was asked one question about Kenyon Freeson and didn't like that, and nobody really had anything else for him, so he left. Is Rodney Anderson going to redshirt? I don't think so. It would kind of make sense if he did in some ways, just because they've got so many great running backs, and you'd think they'd want to preserve some eligibility. But at the same time, if they think he can play, they're going to play him. Redshirting just doesn't happen as often anymore as it used to. All right, keep them coming. This is fun. It's a little bit tough to keep up, so like I said, if I miss your question, ask it again. Is DeBerry going to play a lot? Yeah, I think so. I think he definitely is. They need him. Neville Gallimore is a big-time talent, and the most I've heard about him, though, is from Josiah St. John, that they just love having another Canadian around. Let's see. How is Riley's offense? What do I expect from Riley's offense? I think that it's the sort of offense that allows teams to turn things around really quick. We saw that with TCU last year, so I think there's really good reason to be optimistic about the offense this year because of all the teams that have been able to flip things around so fast. I think Parker's going to play a little bit of both, nickelback and safety. OU to the SEC. I don't know. I don't think the Big 12 having 10 teams is sustainable for the long term with the way college sports are going. But I don't know how soon it's going to happen, and I don't know whether it would be the SEC, the Big 10, or the Pac-12. Urban Meyer or Bob Stoops? Well, I think you got to go with Urban Meyer, right? I mean, they played the national championship game and Urban Meyer won. So, and he's had more success lately. Mayfield's shoulder, I think, is okay. He's been throwing it in practice, I think, pretty well. I do think Mike Stoops is running out of time. I think that they're going to have a good defense this year. There's no question. And if they don't have a better defense this year, I think Bob's going to have to make a really hard decision. Somebody from Tennessee in the house. Awesome. I'm coming to your stadium here in about a month. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to an SEC stadium before. Thoughts on Missouri? Well, they all of a sudden got pretty good in the SEC East. What will the atmosphere at Knoxville compare to? I don't know. I hadn't been there. I'm very fired up about it. I've never been to a stadium that big, and I've never been to an SEC stadium. I've heard nothing but awesome things about the SEC atmosphere, though, so I cannot wait. 3-4-4-3-4-2-5-3-3-5. That's a great question. That's a great question. The little bit of practice we saw yesterday, I think they were playing in with a three-man front, but I think they're going to move around and be multiple this year. And with the amount of good linebackers that they have now, you'd think they'd want to get as many of those guys on the field as they could. Like I said, keep asking if I missed. Do I think Pirine will be? I didn't see that question. Do I think Pirine will be the third? If you said third best running back, heck no. He's going to be the best running back, I think. I don't know why this is. Okay, there we go. Mark Andrews, you're on, Neil. I'll go Mark Andrews. But Baylor and TC will smoke my ass. Well, I don't play for OU, and I don't really care whether they win or lose. So, who wins the national title? Well, gotta go Ohio State. Definitely going to be a different game in Knoxville. Yeah, maybe. Pirine is not as good as Mixon. Hey, you know what? You might be right. He's Mixon. Everybody talks about how great Mixon is, so it's going to be interesting. Hey, Garen and Joe, you guys, get out of here. Garen with his banned tweets earlier. Get off my Periscope. Mixon is a real deal. That's what I keep hearing. Why does it have to be Ohio State? Well, it doesn't have to be Ohio State. They won it last year. It's easy to pick them, I guess. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they didn't win it. Mixon on kick returns? Maybe. It'd be interesting. I think Ross will still be the main guy back there. But Stoops did mention him in the press conference the other day. Wide receiver. I think there's a lot of really talented guys there with D.D. Westbrook. I think Jeffrey Mead's going to be pretty good. Micaiah Quick showed some flashes last year. Will the O-line be reliable? I think Bill Bedenbaugh's a really good coach. So I think that if he's got a chance, if they're gonna, I think they're gonna be good because of Bill Bedenbaugh. I think he's a good coach, and they're gonna have a real shot to be good. The question is do they have some depth there? Do I think D.D. will break 1,000 yards? I don't know. You hadn't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Ryan Broyles, and so if anybody does it, I think it'll be Shepard, and he would have done it last year if he hadn't got hurt. Kicking situation. At this point, I probably think Seibert or Hodgson and Steed will be the place kicker and punter. Although Seibert's pretty good, I think, so he could win either of those jobs. Who will win the Big 12? TCU. Stills did not have 1,000, unless I'm completely misremembering. I do not believe Stills ever had 1,000. 10 sacks for Stryker. What did he have last year? He have 9 or so last year. We'll go over. Mixon on punt returns, maybe. Although I think D.D. Westbrook will probably end up taking that job. I don't think Shepard will have it again. Even before he got hurt, he wasn't very good at it, and it just wasn't working out. And they don't want to risk injuring him. Do I think Bob Stoops likes me? Probably about as much as he likes anybody in the media, which isn't very much, I don't think. Yes, I can read that. Shannon Domin Evans, who starts. At this point, I'd probably say Alexander and Evans, but I think Shannon's really going to push for one of those spots. Over under 9.5 wins. I don't know. I'm probably going to say under at this point. I think the final stretch for OU is going to be really rough, and I think that Tennessee game is going to be really rough. I don't have any more info on the Friesen situation. Honestly, at this point, it's sort of up in the air. Yes, I think it'd be a good idea for the Big 12 to add 2 more teams, but I think they'd, like a lot of people have said, I think it'd have to be the right 2 teams. I don't think they want to just go adding just anybody. But that definitely played a role last year. Best OU preseason related coverage. Oh, thank you. Lamb can go down soon. I have no idea. I don't know on that. I've heard the rumors too, and I think it'll be that would be crazy if he ended up in Norman. Danger Terry. I know who you are. I love you too, whoever you are. I told you to get out of here. Can I block people on Periscope, Garen? And my answer would be lose it. Because I've never really understood why they play that. I probably shouldn't have answered that because Baxter. Probably not. Did that comment? It affected me in that it made me laugh really hard. I think people that insult my looks are pretty funny. You know what? I'm married and my wife doesn't mind my looks, so I don't really care what anybody else thinks. So I'm just gonna laugh at that stuff. The guy who called me Dr. Evil was the best one. For 9/11 spam stuff. Oh, that's interesting. How many more hours? Oh, don't make me do math. It's late, man. I can't do math. That's why I majored in journalism. How much concern is there with the O-line? I don't know how much the pay-per-view game costs, but I would bet it's around $50 or $60. The O-line, I mean, I think it's definitely a concern when you got the running backs you got at OU and the talent back there and this new offense. I think that's a concern when you lose all those guys, Shed and Thompson, but and Williams. But like I said, I think Biedenbo's a good coach. I just think they got depth concerns. 60-40 seems maybe about right. Very challenge basic cable. ESPN's 29, ESPN 2's 28. I think Fox Sports is 37. I don't think Dalton Wood's showing up. I grew up in Noble, just south of Norman, so I actually did cheer for OU when I was growing up. Which coach has had the most positive effect on his position group? I'd probably have to say Biedenbo, honestly. I've talked about him a lot, but I mean, I think he's come in and done a really good job. As for the new guys, it's kind of hard to say at this point. Do you not Kyle Hallmark? Yeah. Yes, I do. I know him well. Went to high school with him. Flowers, that's a good question. I'm going to have a Q&A with Dimitri Flowers coming up here in a couple of days that you want to read. He actually told me that he was concerned because he looked at the East Carolina roster when Riley got hired and saw no fullbacks on it and got worried, but now he feels better about it. Kyle Hallmark is your cousin. Oh, well, good. Well, tell him I said hello. It's been way too long since I've talked to him. Do they still... Did they move the Hallmarks, Jay Bird? I thought I heard that they moved. Eric, I thought he would want to hang out in here, but he ran away from me. I think he's nervous. He's camera shy. Favorite to win the job, I think it's probably Mayfield. Mark Andrews more in the slot or on the line? Probably in the slot, I would say, but I don't know. We hadn't seen much practice, but I would probably say in the slot because he's more of a receiver type. Where do they live now? 15 years since last national championship. I was actually kind of thinking about that. That is very interesting that it's been that long. And the gap between that and the 85 championship. That's fascinating. I don't think so. I don't think Kendall will start right away, but I think he's going to be really good. As though you have a top 60 pass defense this year. Well, we'll see. I mean, I think Kerry Cooks is a good coach, but Sanchez is really good, and I think Thomas will be good. Parker's pretty good, but it's those other guys that we're just not sure about. I've shown off will impact the offense the most at wide receiver. That's a great question. There's so many guys. They've talked up some of the freshmen. I'm going to say probably Deron Neal. I know that's kind of an easy answer. He's so good and he's so talented that I think he's going to have to. I think that I don't think it's too late for him to make an impact. Tari Bird should be a linebacker. He's a big guy. There's no doubt about it. Over under 5 TD catches for Andrews. Ooh. Man, I don't know about that. I think I might say over because I think they're going to score a lot of points. Can Neal finally break out the shoot? Yeah, I mean that's what I was just talking about. I think he can, and I think this offense is really good for him. But Willie, I kind of thought he might break out last year, and he had 500 yards, but he completely disappeared in a couple of those games, especially the Bedlam game, and they really all they needed was one first down in that game to win, and they couldn't come through with it, and it's because of those receivers. My favorite food. In case Garen Emig is still watching, I'm going to say enchiladas from Tarahumara's. Oh, I don't follow recruiting closely enough to make any predictions on commitments. He should really pay attention to Trevor Scott. I think he does. I think he clearly does. That's why he brought it up. Seinfeld, favorite sitcom. Favorite current sitcom, though, is Veep. HBO. Leading tackler this year. Well, probably Alexander or Evans, I would think. Or Shannon. One of those three. Bigger impact, Mixon or Shannon? I think Mixon, because I think the offense is going to be so explosive. And I think Mixon's going to have a lot more opportunities to make a big splash. Game day traffic. Game day traffic. That's a story that we're going to have to write at some point because Lindsay Street is a mess. I don't know how that all is going to work. Will secondary be better than last year? I don't see how they could be worse. I think I will. This is pretty fun. Just got to figure out a way where I don't have to hold up this iPad like this. It's a little bit annoying, but I think Cody Thomas is so perfect for this offense, his skills, but if he doesn't win the job at the beginning of the year, I really have a hard time believing he'll ever win it with Austin Kendall and those guys coming in. Will you fist fight Jake Trotter for me? I'm going to have to tell Jake about that. Shannon showed up big. He did look big, and I don't know. It's a little bit hard to tell. He definitely looks bigger. He said he was a little bit out of shape when he showed up, but he said that he's gotten back to where he should be. I think OU is probably going to be a favorite to beat Texas, but I don't think Texas is going to be very good. Evans is a lot bigger. Evans looks. He's put on a lot of weight, and he needed to if he's going to play that position. Striker played D end. He might play sort of a stand-up D end sort of thing a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. Offense. Bob Stoops be more involved with defense. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be any more involved with the defense than he was last year. I mean, he left a lot of things up to Heupel too. I think that was pretty obvious, and sometimes that didn't work out for the best, as you all know. 40-yard dash, me, Aber, or Mayberry. Oh, that would be the worst 40-yard dash ever. Me and Aber run, in the half marathon, so I think it'd be one of us. I'm going to give one of us the edge, and I think I'm going to give myself the edge over Aber, and I hope he's watching this. The fastest on the team. I've heard a lot about John Humphrey being a fast guy. I don't know if he's the fastest on the team, but I don't know much about. I know a little bit about Connor McGinnis just because he's from Heritage Hall. He's a local kid, and his dad works for the athletic department, and he was a really successful high school quarterback. I would say that walk-on quarterbacks don't have much of a chance, but they have Baker Mayfield, so anything can happen. Smallwood's going to have to get healthy first. I think he's going to miss the first couple of games, but I do think he has a lot of potential. Dahu Green's a big guy and very very impressive player, and I think he's going to have a shot this year. Guys are most likely to transfer. Oh, man, that's a really good question. I don't know. Maybe some of the guys that haven't played very much on the offensive line. I would think that if maybe Christian Daimler doesn't play more this year, then maybe he might start looking elsewhere. That's just a guess. And then I would think Cody Thomas might look elsewhere if he's not the guy this year. Is Mike Stoops gone? The crazy thing about that is I don't know that Bob would ever fire him, and so I mean I don't know, and I don't know if I could blame him. I don't know if I'd want to. Sometimes I might want to fire my brother. He's kind of crazy, and he's been on here. I know it. So you'll mix it for the media before the season starts. Not good. Of course, I didn't think Shannon would be in front of the media today like he was, but I would say not good. I think Charles Walker's has a chance to be pretty good. He can kind of play the end or tackle spot, and they've been really talking him up. KU Big 12. KU's not winning the Big 12 championship. Garen, I hope you're still watching. Although KU's new coach, was awesome at Big 12 Media Days, so it's hard not to pull for those guys, but man, they should have never fired Mangino. When are you going to do one of these, Garen? All right, I think I'll go about 5 more minutes to 11:30. They released depth chart. No, they have not, and I don't think that. I don't think they will till the week of the Akron game. Why does Garen look so angry? Because he is angry. He's crazy. How much last year's struggles were on Heupel? I think obviously, I think a big part of it was on him, but I also think that Bob Stoops asked him to run a system that he didn't know how to run. I think that played a role in it too. Could Shannon get a 6-year? No, I don't think there's any way the NCAA would give him another year under those circumstances. I'd be shocked. Starting D-line in the 4-3. I would say starting D-line in the 4-3 would be Tapper, Walker, Romar, and DJ Ward. I would say DJ Ward. And I've said it before, I think on the radio, that I think it's kind of a make or break year for him. If I had to bet my money, I'd probably get fired if I did that, but if I had to, I would say 9-4. That's a really good question, and I think that's one thing Knight definitely has in his favor. And he's a really good practice. He's a good practice quarterback. He impresses people in practice clearly, and he's done that a bunch. And he's got talent. So, but he is a good leader, and everybody responds to him. So maybe if all things being equal, maybe that would give Knight a little bit of an edge. That's a good point. Sucker punch Trotter for me. Can you name the two Big 12 teams never make a BCS bowl? The two teams never to make a Big 12 teams never to make a New Year's Six bowl. Well, Kansas is not one of them. It's not Kansas State. It's not West Virginia. Iowa State would be one. Don't tell me. And Texas Tech, right? I think that's right. Took me a second. Yeah, I was naturally inclined to say Kansas, but Mangino, man, the Orange Bowl, more important game. I'd probably say OSU because it's the end of the season. I think it goes a long way to, it obviously will determine their bowl game. It'll determine sort of the momentum there at the end of the year. And I think OSU's a lot better than Texas. I don't think it's close. Does Rip make the Packers roster? He might. He kind of fits perfectly, as I'm sure a lot of you know. I'm a Packers fan, so I thought that was a good pick, and I think he's gonna have a chance. He could be the next John Kuhn, and I'd be all about that. Will you start season 9-0? They could. I think that's going to be real interesting. If they beat Tennessee, I think they're going to have a real good shot to start 9-0. Because the Kansas State game in Manhattan, you'd think that'd be tough, but I think K-State's a little down. OU always wins in Manhattan. No, he didn't, Ryan. No, he didn't. Not according to the rules. Don't even get me started. But I think there's a good chance they could start 9-0. If they do, they'll probably be ranked in the top 3, I would think. I know I'm going to be way outnumbered on the Des Bryant thing. I'm sure a lot of you are Cowboys fans, and that's all right. All right, it's 11:30. I think I'm gonna shut her down. But thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. Football Final Four. Okay, I'll answer this one. I picked Ohio State, TCU, Clemson, and Auburn were my 4 teams, and that's gonna be in our trying to end this thing. Can't figure out how to do it.